What is going on, everybody? Welcome to part 5 of an ongoing series where I talk about what I'd like to do in the next Animal Crossing game, should I ever be in charge of such a project. My name is Blaze, of course. Welcome to my channel. On today's episode, we're talking about fruits, um, as far as like what extra kinds of fruits could be in the game, and also other kinds of vegetation. We're also going to touch on what the fruits could actually do for you, because currently they don't really do anything for you if you eat them. And also, we're going to talk about cooking, an idea I had for cooking that could be in the game. So call this a wish list, call this a prediction, call this whatever you'd like. I'm going to call it a prediction. Unless my ideas are not included in the next game, then I'll just call it a wish list. But as of right now, this is what I'd like to see and the types of things that I hope Nintendo is thinking about. So if we transition over to the game here, I've got the game playing here so I can kind of illustrate some of my points. And also, just because the music's cool and the aesthetic is cool and there's a nice waves crashing around kind of a sound going on. So that'll help us relax while we're watching this video. But so this is a picture here of all of the different types of fruits you can currently get in Animal Crossing New Leaf. We've got oranges, we've got pears, we've got peaches, apples, and cherries. We have perfect versions of all of those fruits as well. We've also got the exotic fruits you can only get on the island. Lemons, durians, mango, persimmon, and lychee. And on the side there, on the far right, we have the two palm trees of coconuts and bananas. So obviously there's no shortage of vegetation or things you can grow in this game. As far as what you could pull and where you could kind of incorporate it. So I'm certain that I've missed some things. I'm certain that there are some things out there that you'd like to see, and feel free to post them in the comments below. But a few things that I kind of came across while I was doing a little bit of research on the game, just to make sure that I had all my T's and crossed and all my I's dotted. Basically, I came across someone's idea for plums that would be, I think, a wonderful addition. Plum trees do exist and would be a great addition to Animal Crossing. Pomegranate. They're more of like a tree bush hybrid, as far as I could tell. So it actually looked kind of like a tree, but also kind of like a bush, like a bigger bush, but not quite a tree. Keep in mind that I'm not a gardener. I have no idea. If I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, because as far as related to these different fruits and how they grow, it's probably because I don't. So if I miss something, feel free to correct me, but respectfully correct me, please. So papayas are another one that appear to grow on a palm tree type thing. So we'd be able to add that to the palm tree or to the beach if you have such a beach in your town. Dragon fruits are another one that I came up with on my own, kind of, as far as what could be on a palm tree type thing. This particular one actually looked kind of like a palm tree bush hybrid, kind of like taller than a bush, but not quite as tall as a palm tree. And then I came up with another one for kiwi, which it doesn't really grow on a tree. It grows in more of like a plant type thing, and I'll cover my idea for how that's going to work in just a second here. And then cantaloupe, I think, grows on it's a tree, but it's not a very thick, tall tree. I think you can get a couple of those on a smaller like plant kind of thing. If I'm wrong on that, definitely correct me. But I believe that those would actually be it would be a tree, but it'd probably look more like the second stage of a tree, like you see behind the character there. I'll go up to one of these trees real quick, and you can see what I'm talking about. But so I know when you plant a tree, it has a first sprout, a second form, and then this final form. So the cantaloupe tree might look more like the second form. A little thinner, probably, but it'd still have those fruits growing on it. So, kind of a cool idea that I had for extra fruits that would be in the game. Again, if I missed something or you wanna add to it, go ahead and post in the comments below. But I talked about kiwi a second ago, and we're gonna cover another idea I had for other types of vegetation you can get in the game. So if we go over to this area just to my left, we're gonna see this like open area. Let's just call it back here. So one thing that I would like to see in the new Animal Crossing, and I think that if I were in charge of making the new Animal Crossing, I would absolutely do this, is maybe there's a new tool that you can get. much like the net, much like the fishing pole, much like the shovel. But this particular net, or this particular tool, if you use it, it would kind of cultivate the land and kind of make the land into more of a row by row kind of a thing. I'm just kind of digging up these holes so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. But this tool would make this little 3x3 area into more of a gardener's like designated area. And in this area, you could plant these types of vegetation. A second ago, I mentioned kiwi. You could plant like a kiwi tree or like a little kiwi bush here and continue to water it every day, and that would kind of grow into a little kiwi bush. You could put another one here, another one here. You could do all this whole thing as kiwi if you wanted to. Or you could do something else. And some of the other things I had in mind for other fruits that you could put here were, let's see, watermelons would be kind of cool there. Grapes, I think would also be a nice addition to the game. So if you shake them or you pick them, you get like a little grape bunch that you can kind of keep with you. And then I guess not really a fruit. I think it's a fruit. I can't remember if this is actually classified as a fruit or a vegetable, but tomatoes might actually be pretty cool too. So you could have all of these different things growing right here. You can make this thing as large as you want to. And we talked about the map size in a previous video, and if we look at this map is 4 times the size of a New Leaf map. So if you're worried about how much space you're going to have, you're going to have a ton of space in the game. So, you know, I talked about the map on, I think it was episode 1 or 2, part 1 or 2, where we talk about how big the map is going to be and what kinds of things you're going to be able to do with the map. If you're worried about not having enough space, or if you're worried about, you know, how big am I going to be able to make this before it becomes too large, well, that shouldn't be a problem with the map that I'm proposing. This map being 4 times the size of Animal Crossing, New Leaf is going to help take care of that issue. So definitely something to keep in mind there. So other things that you could grow in here, and these are just like really quick ideas, just things I just came up with right on the spot. Of course, you could grow corn. You can grow cabbage or lettuce. You could grow wheat. Other vegetables could be in play as well. And I think that would actually be very cool to have, not only have trees in your town, trees like this that actually grow fruits, but you can also have little bushes down here that grow vegetables as well. And of course, depending on how well you take care of them, they may or may not grow them that quickly or that often. So another thing you could actually put down here is pumpkins. And some of these things might actually only be a seasonal item. Like maybe you can only grow it during the fall time of the year, or maybe depending on the climate or how things are going in your town. Like maybe you wouldn't be able to grow pumpkins in the winter, but you could grow them very easily in the months of like September, October, November. So pumpkins kind of brings me to a point I'm going to follow up with on the next video. Part 6 will be a little bit about new events. But of course, pumpkins could play into that very, very well, as far as you grow a bunch of pumpkins and then your whole town has like a pumpkin carving kind of a thing going on. So of course you need pumpkins to do that, and you could spend a lot of money buying them, or you can grow them ahead of time. Depending on the situation, maybe there's a mini game you have to do to earn a pumpkin, but if you spent time on growing pumpkins, you'll have quite a supply, and you can have a pumpkin carving holiday in your town like right before Halloween. So that might be pretty cool too. I'll elaborate on that in the next part as far as other ideas for events and things like that. But let's go back to fruits and vegetables for a second. So currently in the game, there's nothing you can do in order, like if you eat a fruit or a vegetable, it's basically pointless. You don't really get anything out of it. Your character makes the munching sound and it seems kind of cool, but there's really no reason to eat it. When you could simply sell that fruit or vegetable for 100 bells or 500 bells or up to 1,000, depending on on what's your special item of the day. So I think that there definitely needs to be more incentive to feed your character, because as of right now, the only reason you have to eat anything is if you buy those special fortune cookies every day. And whether you like it or not, those can get you some cool items, but they don't really help your character in any way that I'm aware of. So my thoughts on that are that, and I thank one of my viewers on Twitch, Galactic Puppet, for helping me come up with this idea. But basically, my thoughts on that were that um, you could eat something. Let's say specifically you eat a peach, and let's say that every one of these fruits has a special property that if you eat it, you get a certain boost in something. Think of it kind of like Feng Shui, kind of like in the GameCube version, which I think carried over into the other versions as well, but it's not talked about all that much. But if you eat a fruit, maybe that could actually boost your likelihood to get items. Maybe it could boost your likelihood to get money. Maybe it could boost your likelihood for other villagers to ask you for different public works projects. Maybe it could boost your caretaking of flowers, so that when you come back to your town tomorrow, maybe there's more hybrids or more other things going on. Um, so maybe there's some things to eating fruits that would actually boost like little hidden like stats that are in on your character. Um, I think the luck thing is actually pretty cool. Maybe you'll have better luck with villagers, and maybe let's just say hypothetically that the orange is tied to money. So if you eat oranges, you're more likely to get money. Um, so as you walk around town, you'll notice that your other villagers are pinging you and asking you, hey, I see that you have a sea bass. I'll give you $1,200, 1,200 bells for that sea bass, which is far more than it's worth, by the way. Um, maybe when you shake trees, more money falls out of the trees. And every single fruit would have a different, or every single fruit and vegetable would have a different property tied to it that would help increase your overall interaction with that item or with that concept per day. Now, the limitation I'll put on it is that it's not like an ongoing stat increase kind of a thing. It's just that if you decide that you want to eat an orange today, you're going to have a much better time finding money. And of course, I haven't thought enough about it to decide what's going to be for what. I'm just using oranges as an example. Let's just say oranges increase money. So your character you could make your character eat an orange today, and that would increase your likelihood of getting money today for the whole day. And you can try a different fruit tomorrow. So it's not like an ongoing like stats like increase or anything like that, and you never have to worry about it like increasing it or decreasing it or whatever the case is. You don't have to continually eat a bunch of food to try and increase a certain stat. It's just that you eat one peach or pear or orange. You eat one of those items, and it gives you a boost in finding certain things for that day. And maybe if you eat a perfect fruit, a perfect peach, or a perfect orange, maybe that would actually help increase that specific like stat a lot. So maybe if you eat a perfect orange in this example, it would increase your likelihood to get more money by a lot. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about as far as like how to utilize the fruits a little better. There's another way too that I'll talk about in just a second. But going back up here to this little area that I showed off, I almost forgot to mention that this little area might actually help in breeding flowers as well. So if you have this area cultivated and ready to plant things, breeding flowers in this particular area would be a lot easier and would likely yield a lot more hybrid flowers than if you plant them up there on that cliff or if you plant them like over here somewhere. So if you use your cultivation tool to make this area a cultivated gardening spot, it would actually increase your likelihood of getting special hybrid flowers. The other thing is that currently you're able to get perfect fruits of your native fruit, but this area might also allow you to get a different native fruit, but only in this area, and you can't have like you wouldn't be able to get multiples. So if I currently in my town am able to grow perfect oranges, you could cultivate a little small area and you could grow perfect apples there, but you wouldn't be able to do another cultivated area and grow perfect cherries, and then another one and grow perfect something else. So you'd only be able to have two, um, and you could have multiples of those two, but it's definitely not something you can just have all of the perfect fruits. I like the limitation of not having every perfect fruit, and I think that cultivating the land can help you grow other exotic things that you normally couldn't grow in your town. If you have any ideas about that, definitely put it in the comments below. But I think there are definitely some uh, properties of having a cultivated area. But again, I'm not I'm not a gardener, so hopefully people out there who are gardeners can kind of comment on that and kind of let me know what they think about a cultivated area. And of course, if I missed something or I didn't know about something, that's fine. Feel free to correct me, but in a respectful way. The last thing I want to talk about today is cooking. Something that is not currently present in Animal Crossing aside from um, the Thanksgiving event. Um, Cooking could very well be a new aspect of Animal Crossing. And a second ago I mentioned, um, what kinds of things you could get from eating a fruit. So cooking something and cooking that something with a specific fruit or vegetable might actually increase that by a little bit more than if you just ate the fruit by itself. Now, obviously, you wouldn't want to get like meats and things like that because this character here is a bunny, and you can eat rabbits, and I don't think that's really fair to eat rabbit right in front of this rabbit or feed this rabbit its own thing. So I would take meats off the table completely aside from fish. Fish are the only meats that I would allow in the game, and things like red snapper, of course, would be a good thing. You could use sea bass, but I'm certain that the result on that would not be as good as if you used a barred knife jaw, red snapper, even an arapaima, something like a catfish or something might be good too. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to cook different types of meals. And in my head, I kind of envision that as being very much like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you take up to 5 ingredients or 3 ingredients in some cases. Let's say you take a red snapper and 2 oranges. You put that together and it makes orange fish or something like that. It might make, let's just say you use a red snapper, it might make one dish or one meal. But if you use something like a arapaima, maybe it makes 3 meals, and you can use those, for the next 3 days. It would definitely go a long way to getting food into your character's mouths that currently you don't need to do. And I think that it could also help with your character's luck and your character's ability to find certain things that you may or may not be looking for. If you're able to increase your, let's just say your furniture finding luck for that day by enough, and maybe there'll be other ways to do it too, but the fruits and vegetables might be a really easy way to give you a small boost in that area. But if you increase it enough in one day, maybe when you shake a tree, you always find furniture, and if you increase it enough, you always find, like, you have a really good chance to find like rare furniture, maybe even a rare furniture set that you can only get if you have your luck increased in furniture finding to a certain point. So maybe there's up to 3 points you can get. Eating a fruit would give you 1 point. Doing something else would give you another point. And then something else would give you a 3rd point. And once you're maxed out, you can start getting that furniture from shaking the tree. Just a couple of ideas I had. Maybe you guys can think of some other cool ideas. Maybe it's possible that you could eat a fruit and maybe let's just say cherries, hypothetically. And cherries would give you the ability to not have to sneak up on bugs. Like, you could actually just run up to bugs and just catch them without them flying away. Maybe another one would help you catch fish easier. Maybe another one would help you would yield more balloons flying by per hour. There's all kinds of ideas and things that I could think of if I sat here long enough, but I want you guys to think of some stuff. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the ideas I've just presented. all the new fruits and vegetables that could be in the new Animal Crossing, um, and what types of things would you like to see that we could do with those items. Cooking, I think, is a no-brainer, and there could even be a new character in the game to help you with cooking, so that might be cool. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter, on Twitch, and on well, you're already on my YouTube. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'm gonna be back probably around this time next week with part 6 of this series, and I hope to see you there. Part 6 will be more about events and different kinds of things that I'd like to see as far as events go. So definitely check that out. But in the meantime, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the flippity flip.